Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. I know it is a theme for me too. I cannot help myself. And no, I am never going to cut this because I'm laughing at the beginning of our podcast episode here. But it's all good. This is what we do here. So welcome for everybody. This is a new Monday episode. Yippee-ki-yay. Yay. I cannot help myself. Oh, good lordy. Seriously. Sometimes we have to take ourselves not seriously and have a good laughter. Laughter helps a lot to rebalance ourselves. So I like it. So in this podcast today, we're going to be talking about the season of becoming and letting go of who we were. I know. So for some people, they're not going to experience this to the ultimate way, but I will share again my story. And no, it's not to flaunt it again in somebody else's faces, but take it to perspective as well. Because in our lives, we encounter our seasons, and there is time for our seasons. And as I said, some can be extremely I will say brutal, and some are smooth. So there comes a time when we are no longer who we were, but not yet who we are becoming. And we're going to be talking about exploring the uncomfortable, beautiful, and transformative space in between. It's about shedding the layers, releasing past version of ourselves, and leaning into uncertainty with grace and courage. And I'm going to even say a plum. As much as possible, but I get that picture that comes back in my head that I had, and I think that was a blue Persian, I believe, cat, and you could see him looking very angry. The two paws on the pool, and the rest of the body was in the pool, not looking very happy. So this is what I see when I'm saying with grace and courage and aplomb, because there is days I felt like more of a wet cat that just got thrown into the pool and getting out. It's like, I'm ready, people, for you. So we need to understand the transitional identity, because how to recognize us on as we are in a season of becoming, and the emotional discomfort of not being our old self anymore, and why these seasons are necessary for growth and alignment. So I'm going to be talking about a little bit, and I'm going to take reference of what has happened to my life, actually, as a point of reference for you guys. Living a life of changes, and even in my 20s, I was working at the Club Med, actually, and I had an accident that happened that basically my autoimmune system decided to go click off, and which just kind of create a mayhem, which happened when I was working at the Club Med and I came back. So it was a change of direction at that time, because I was working over there, but my goal wasn't to continue to be working in those villages. I had a goal in mind, and I had to make the decision and I wasn't quite ready when this happened, that I needed to change the course in order to get where I needed to be. The Club Med was the transition of a life, secluded life that I had, where I needed the Club Med to be the first step for who I became, and to get me that step of courage. Because when you work at the Club Med, if people don't know what the Club Med is, Those are villages you get around the world, and people come on vacation for a week, or if it's in the same in countries, you go for the weekend or for a month, whatever you do with your family, and you get different themes. You can go for people who are more towards golf. They go for golfing, sailing, tennis, equestrian, and so forth and so on, and skiing. So this was a great way to basically live in a bubble for, it could be from 4 months, 6 8 months, a year in a village, and basically working there. So it depends where you were. I was in sports, and working with the team, catering for everything we're doing. And that was a great way actually to, especially when you're shy, to deal with different people every week coming in and out, etc., etc. So it was a very good experience, but came a point where universe said, okay, sister, your goal wasn't to spend your life here, but this was your stepping stone to the next level, which I did. And then I had the opportunity to come to the US, do what I got to do, etc., etc., and move on and so forth. So back to 2023, where the change of season had to happen. And I was sitting down, and I'm remembering this because it's like, holy crap, this is the best, the best things that could ever happen in a worse way, to get the answer from God. And we having conversation with God, because I got a conversation with the universe. I call universe, for me, universe is God, by the way. So having conversation with the universe and sitting down on the chair, I will always remember, and I was having conversations. Said, okay, universe, it's time for me to leave from where my condo. I want to sell it. It's time for me to move on. Now I said I'm gonna, sell it next year. Putting myself back because I went through the dark night of the soul. So it was in October. So I went through all the hootenanny that I went through, which was pretty horrifying. Actually, barely made it alive, literally. And I'm like, okay, now I would like to leave where I'm at and sell the condo, then buy a home. I don't want a condo. I don't want anything to do with neighborhood. I just want a home, and living a quiet and peaceful and serene life as much as possible, even though I'm a troublemaker. So it was about 6 o'clock at night, and the doggo were on a bed sleeping, and I'm like, okay, I'll just have the conversation with blah blah blah. Went to bed. Well, 6 hours later, I got the answer with the fire, and I'm like, okay, this is not the answer I wanted, but thank you very much. It's not what I was expecting. All right, I'm talking to you, and you have a sixth sense of humor by basically putting me, quote unquote, without a home. So this was the change of the season, because at that point, while I went for 2 months from November and December, I was going through the rubbles of the condo. And trust me, it wasn't open because I lived upstairs, and I had a main floor and I had the loft. So it was a wide open sky with rain, snow, and everything you can think in between, especially from November and December, which is pretty cold. So it was digging through the rubbles, and as I was doing this and gathering stuff in my garage, because I was the only garage I think that was intact. Everything was intact. The only thing that got actually destroyed, and that's why the power of prayers works actually, was that, and I said it in the past, the T-Mobile module that I have for the 5G. This is the only stupid things that burned. The entire condo. And as I was praying and asking for protection and shielding the house, blah blah blah, I forgot to add it was for the flame. I forgot to said, oh, it should be for the water too. And I did not thought about that. But when you have thousands and thousands of gallons pouring into the building, I'm like, oh, I should have thought about this one. I'm like, I was seeing the flame, I was seeing the roof collapsing, and I'm like, I got nothing left, which I had some stuff left. A majority of stuff could not be salvaged, or because you have to leave it behind for safety reason. But I was collecting my stuff and I was putting it, and I was going every day there. So I was driving 50 miles one way, collecting the stuff for hours, having the dogs in the car, getting out once a while out of the car, whatever the deal was. And one evening, not even long ago, because this is unfortunately what happened when there is a disaster, you have lootering. And people came and started to go through the condos, climbing the walls, and it was like adding insult to injury at that time. So learned it. I think it was on a Wednesday or something like that. I was over there on Thursday. I didn't want it to go back, but I was tired. And all of my papers, everything that I had, all of the papers, and that was over there. I'm like, okay. I had somebody that convinced me to go over there, and they went with me. And what we did, we only removed the papers. The rest, I let it be. I'm like, that's fine. They already went through the garage. They did not even realize that was hidden somewhere on a corner far away from them to access it. So I bring it back, and this is where actually you understand to let go, meaning you made a funeral of your life. And those papers, I remember I bring them into an incinerator. So I did I went through all of them, and I just said, okay, what can I keep that is important for me as papers? And it was in only out of, I think, 5 or 6 huge box or whatever I had, it just ended up in a small box. The rest, I wasn't gonna just throw it in a garbage. I said, I am gonna basically burn it. So that's what I did. And at the time of burning it, the season of becoming and letting it go, this is where you realize, and I was doing the funeral of my 5 decades that I've been walking this earth. And it was heartbroken for me because I realized I don't exist anymore. Who I was prior to the fire doesn't exist anymore. That person is done. That season is done. So this is the dramatic version of the extreme version of oh boy. And recognizing as I was taking those paper and bring them to the incinerator, and I was putting them in there, I started to cry because I was letting it go and understanding my life is gone. This chapter is closed. It is done. And that was, I think, one of the harder things ever for me, because you're not emotionally prepared to go through that emotion. The emotion of, okay, this is my funeral of who I was. Now it's a blank canvas. What can I do for it? Who am I becoming? The unknown is right there. You have a clean slate. This is your time for a clean slate. Everything you had to do, karmic was, you have done all of your life lessons. You have accomplished everything you had to accomplish. Everything is done. Now it's time for you to go to a new season. So it's easy to say, when we're talking about it, it's like, yeah, that's interesting. That's fine. That's good. But, oh boy, being in those shoes at that moment, I had to go through the motion and letting go of who I was. And then you are faced with what I'm doing now, where I'm moving right now. What is going to happen? I have nothing except that blank canvas. So letting it go was the first thing, is how to mourn past identities without shame. How to feel that, okay, I am done with it. I am done with everything. And the little I have left, which doesn't even go, is halfway, one wall, one layer against a storage room, which is true actually, because my storage is like half of it is up to the ceiling. This is the thing that I did. The rest, I think it's a bigger thing, so a couple of tables or something like that. But everything is contained into something that small. And you realize everything you had is gone. Most of your clothes are gone. Shoes. Some of my favorite shoes actually are gone, which is like crap. I should have kept it downstairs, but everything is gone. So the role of self forgiveness is important as well when past choices do not align any longer. So you have to look at where you are, where you stand today, and have, I will say, self reflection or journaling prompts for closure. But in my case, I was just closing the chapter, I was done. By looking back, I'm looking back at it and I'm like, well, I accomplished everything I was supposed to do. I have learned all of the life lessons I'm supposed to learn. Now, what's next? Because the biggest questions at the end of the day is what's next? Nobody is giving you the, I would say, that roadmap and say, oh, you're going to go and figure it out. No, you don't. So it's learning to remove, like the skin, they shed. And we do shed, actually. We all do, even ourselves. We are peeling the little cells or epithelials off our skin. So we're looking at, and I was looking at, okay, who am I now? Because I have been so many things in the past. And what are my goals? What do I really want to do? Because now that I have a clean slate, what am I going to do next? What is the exciting part in a chapter that is my life? What do I really want to accomplish that will really empower me in one way or the other? And that's where it's so important to understand the letting go first, that part of it, because I didn't only let go of my life, but I let go of the people that were surrounding me, the few that were left surrounding me, and they were not adding any value or in my life. They were still wanted to take things away. They were the people who will come and would absolutely think you have you have a store at your home and take whatever they wanted to take and do whatever they wanted to do. But that wasn't what I was interested of. I was interested to something new, a new beginning. That beginning was the unknown, the transition to go from a hotel room for a week to a place that wasn't absolutely safe at all. I'm like, if I have to think about it, I'm like, holy crap! I'm glad the universe works its magic one way or the other. But I needed to go to that place temporarily in order to be where I am today, which is again a transitioning place, but it's not my home. But it's a place that I've been staying here for a year and a half with the Pops, which has been very good for us because I'm doing things and turning things around that needs to be turned around here as well. But it provided us the sense of healing and isolation that I needed to do, because during that transition, you're going to be moving from letting go of everything, everybody around you that is not for your highest good, which is very good. I don't feel guilty of anything, and nobody should be feeling ashamed of the past, neither guilty, because you're doing something that resonates with you. So this is something that people need to understand. When you're done with the season, it's time to move out. Move on, move out. One thing that I don't understand, and I'm going to ask the question to you, for you guys, okay? If you're done with somebody in your life, and that's the why I always ask, because I have seen it on TikTok, but I always listen to people as well, and I'm like, well, if you're done with somebody in your life, why most people don't remove them from their social media or even from their life, actually, because they still have access to them via text or phone or anything like that, and continue this even if they allegedly are done with those individuals. Because in my case, like I said, when I'm done with someone, and I've done it with everybody, what I do is just simply remove them and block them from all of my social media, because I'm not following them. They are not going to follow me. And the same with the phone. They are blocked. I delete the number, I delete everything, and we're done. This is how you do the clean slate. And a lot of people don't do that. So they still have that past starting to continue to bring them or try to wheel them back in. And it's like, no, when you're done, you're done. And I always ask that question because that was something that I saw on TikTok that was several months ago. And I asked the question, I said, you're complaining that your ex is chasing after you, blah, blah, blah. But you still give access to this individual to text you, go on your social media and do this. I said, if you're really done with that person or a friend, then you need to cut the ties. And I think that's the hardest part for people, because if you have not done a solitary journey of self reflection or just being alone, quote unquote, you need that time to reflect and heal, because the healing process with all of the hootenanny will continue to apply for your life, because not only you are done with that season, but you need to purge everything that will basically block you to move to your new season. So basically you're in between two worlds. One will pull you back and the other one wants to move you forward. So you have to make that conscious decision, mourn your past, like I did. For me, my funeral, mourning it was at the time I had picked up those papers and I threw them into the incinerators, and I was crying and crying. And it came naturally. It's not like I was like, oh my God. No, I was like, I'm taking the papers, and when I hit the flame the first time, that hit me as well. And I'm like, okay. And people were watching me, they were looking at me, suddenly I'm like, I'm okay, guys, I'm okay. I'm just crying. I need to cry. I'm healing. Let it be. Let it go. Let it flow. But it was very big. Also self-forgiveness, because I did what I did. I have no regrets of what I've done in the past, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it was a learning time as well. I did what I did with what I knew at that time. When you start to look back for a little bit, not going and living back in the past, but when you do that and you start to understand, I have done this under those circumstances. I did not know what I know now. I wouldn't know what I know now. I would have done something maybe different, but I'm not changing it. I'm accepting it. I am okay with that. I have no regrets and I move forward. So the forgiveness is also not only for myself, but it's for what happened with everybody. And in order to close that season, to do that clean slate, to be done with it, we have to go through all of this process. And now you're going to say, well, and now what? Now you're done with all of this. Now what? Well, you need to build the new with intentions. And it's how to consciously choose new beliefs, habits, and dreams. This is where you realize when you're done with the seasons, you have done the healing that can take, maybe in my case, because I needed to deal with another situation. So it took about, I would say, until the beginning of this year, actually. It took, because I got disturbance still mid 24. So I would say from June to December, I needed that solitary, not confinement, but space of solitude in order to heal and to really redefine what I wanted to do. This is where you take the time out of the chaos into the quietness to consciously choose, what do I want to do? What do I want to create? And what kind of habits, like taking care of your health by eating better, by doing exercise, going outside, enjoying nature, doing things that really helps you to ground you, creating a new space for a new version of yourself to emerge. You have to give that room. And how to navigate the doubts, because from others during your evolution, that's the problem. It's where you do the purge. The morning of my past identities, I had a couple of people that were still hanging outside of it. But came 6 months later, I just quietly walked away. Like I said, I came quietly in your life. I will leave quietly. You're not going to see me leaving, and that will be it. But I quietly left because I really look at the people surrounding me and seeing if are we repeating the same story with those individuals, or is it something that are they gonna come along that journey, or are we done and we're at the fork on the road, and I'm taking right, you're taking left, which is okay, because we have to remind ourselves during that process, not everybody in our journey, there are people who are going to be, maybe if you're lucky enough, have, and it's not, I don't know if it's lucky at this point, but I'm going to say lucky enough because that sounds good for now. Then you have people that will be in your life from a kid till your last breath. And in my case, and in the case of a lot of people, you will have people coming in your life for a time, and then it will and then when you learn everything, then you off we go separate ways. It doesn't mean we hate each other at all, but we'll fade away after a while. And this is what we have to realize. There is people who are in our life for a lot of things, for teaching us something. But when you start to change and look at yourself, setting up the boundaries, because I think the biggest things that was learning, relearning few things is the boundaries, setting up our boundaries. My goodness gracious! And I talk on some of my podcasts last year about the boundaries, and when people have a habit, taking your kindness or your mindfulness for you're the village idiot, and it's like, honey, my IQ is higher than the village idiot, way far than that, and I would love to be the village idiot because at least they have a good life as well. But it's understanding that being mindful, being nice to somebody doesn't mean we're a bunch of goofballs. However, some individual takes your kindness, your generosity, your empathy for granted, and will walk on your boundaries like there is no tomorrow. Then, when you start to set up the boundaries, this is where you're gonna start people to see people change and telling you, you change. You were nice before. You were this. You were that. Yeah, I'm still nice, but I have my boundaries. That means you don't have access to me whenever you feel like it. And this is where you realize during that time of transitioning that you have to look at the boundaries. Do you have your boundaries set up? Is people are mindful enough to respect your boundaries, or it's like a cheese, Swiss cheese, where it's plenty of holes and everybody can go through the holes and they don't care? So you have to look at, when you're creating that space, mindfully think about yourself first. It's not about the rest of the world. It's you, because it's all about you and your transformation. In order to find and to really move up into the next level in your seasons, you need to consciously choose what you want to do, and that it comes only from you. It should not be influenced by Paul and Marty because they just say so. No. So you have to learn to navigate the doubts from others. And when those doubts are coming in, then you need to look at, and that's, I think, part of it, in having the awareness and the honesty. We can play the ostrich and put our head in the sand and let this happen, or we can just look at it very closely and realizing, well, this relationship, this friendship is not working anymore because it doesn't suit who I'm becoming. So you have to let it go. Again, I'm talking about setting up new boundaries, and I think people need to understand. And if people don't understand that, and their reaction is, oh, you mean you used to be different before, you were nice, then those individuals, like I said, should not be in your life, because they will not respect your boundaries, or they're gonna complain you change, when in fact, no, I just set up my boundaries. I did not change yet, but I'm setting up my boundaries because I do not need everybody to rain on my parade. You need to reassessing your goals and definition of success. What really is the definition of success for you? Is it trillions of dollars on like Uncle Picsou as a bed in one room and you jump in it? Or is it living a life that is fulfilled? A fulfilled life is a successful life, actually. A lot of people want to put a price on that, but there is people who have been VP, CEO of companies, have quit the corporate world to open restaurant, to open fitness club, to have done a lot of things so different. And those guys make less money, but they are happier than ever. They are fulfilled. Because what really nourished us, money is fantastic. I have no issue with money. Love money, not a problem. It's a way, it's an energy we utilize for exchange. That's fantastic. However, fulfillment, being fulfilled, it's like having a dinner and not being hungry at the end of the dinner. You have not overeaten. You just eaten the right amount of food, and you are sustained. You're perfect. That you are good. Then daily rituals to support your transformation. What kind of daily ritual could you do? It could maybe some meditation. Maybe it's listening some mantras in the morning. Maybe it's changing a little bit and adding things you like to do. It could be exercise. It could be journaling. It could be simple things like that. Adding something new into your routine so you learn what you like and what you don't like. What I love with what happened to my wonderful situation. I'm telling you, I'm gonna write a freaking book about that, because seriously, it was like, holy crap. I could not make it up. Seriously, the stuff that happened, I could not make it up. But you have to look at, in a time of transformation, it's the opportunity to really move yourself up to a new level, to a new existence, to something that really you want to accomplish. For me, the change in all of this, what happened to me and to millions of people, I'm not the only one, I'm just sharing my story because it's entertaining at some level. You need a good laugh too. But when you're done with a season and you're ready to go, and you have that opportunity of a lifetime to reinvent yourself, meaning transforming yourself. I have learned everything that I like and I don't like. I have learned experience where, oh my God, it was so beautiful, and some were pretty ugly actually. But at the end of the day, all of the lessons, everything I've learned, now I can create that season, that new season, that new adventure, that new journey for me, because I've got all of those experiences, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I now know more who I am and what I would like and what I am experiencing now. That is not what was the past. Letting go of the past was dramatic at that time when I burned the papers, because again, without realizing what I was doing the morning. I didn't had a guiding book that was like, okay, ma, we burned down and crashed down your house. No, it's time to get the pamphlet and just follow the steps. No, it came the way it came. And also you can ask for the support of people that can help you along your journey. But really, I will say the practical step for your inner rebirth, it's really setting up the boundaries. You really need to set up your boundaries. And I've set up mine. I think that was part of last year. I think the first 6 months of last year was setting up the boundaries with everybody. And it went into imploding with one person. It literally imploded because this person was really not getting the message, and I don't think that person still has not got the message since last year, because she's still pissed off, but that's her problem, not mine. But setting up the boundaries, when people walk all over the boundaries of others and still are claiming the right to want to continue to do it, and you don't give them access to you, this is what is so powerful. When you're blocking people on social media, when you're blocking people on the phone, or any way of communication, email, it removes them from granting them access to your own self. And it is empowering to do that. Because when you're ready to let go, you are going to block those guys up till Sunday of this one. Seriously, it is unbelievable. But you realize when you see them and they will come pass by your life, they will be angry, they will be resentful because they don't have access to you anymore. But it's their problem at this point. Like I said, at the beginning of the transformation, for 6 months, I had to deal with setting up the boundaries, which my boundaries are set. And regardless of what comment you receive, take it as a compliment, meaning you have set your boundaries. Now, if people are resentful about it, that means you did a good job because your boundaries are set and nobody can cross them. And opportunities for the goals. Things change. As we grow older, as we evolve, as we mature, as we grow through our journey, our goals are changing. And again, the definition of success, I'm serious on this one, has changed so much when you go through so many changes in your life that it's closer to your heart and the true self. So do some daily ritual to support your transformation. Look at your goals, because the goals can be changed and modified as you go along as well. This is not static. This is moving. This is going with the flow. But it is empowering to have that possibility to do this seriously. So I would say that becoming is not a straight path. No, it's not. It's a spiral, a shedding, a gentle unfolding. It is. And the version of you that you're growing into deserve patience, grace, and trust. Let the old fall away. You're on the edge of something extraordinary. And I can say, per experience, so I'm speaking per experience, it wasn't easy to be in my shoes still last year, but looking back, I am amazed and I'm very proud of what I've done, because it took a lot, to let go and realizing I'm done with the life I had. But now the opportunity is limitless. So I hope it inspires you on a Monday morning, and that's a long one. I'm over close to 40 minutes. Yeah. So guys, have a beautiful day and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Amorous Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Amorous Universe Podcast. Podcast.